Guys, what is going on? Well, she is all fresh and clean after her first outing after getting the full M4 exhaust and the tune from Two Wheel Dyno Works. So what was it like? Is it different now with the Two Wheel Dyno Works tune versus the more Mafia? Guys, I gotta talk to y'all about this. This is a pretty controversial topic when you start getting into the tuners of these particular bikes. It's pretty polarizing, but I gotta tell you, I think there's a clear winner. Let's dive into it. All right, guys, so let's dive into it. Okay, let's start off with the things that are similar. First of all, they both make a ton of power. I can tell you that either way you go in terms of just a dyno sheet, I don't know that you could go wrong. The way that my 2025 GSXR 1000 ran with the more Mafia tune and the M4 exhaust, it was extremely strong, and there's nothing to be taken away from that. The Two Wheel Dyno Works tune, equally as powerful though. So test criteria. Look, we're not using dynos here. We're using real world applications. And thank you to my good friend, Orange Crush, was able to basically line my bike up against a very strong, very well-tuned GSXR 1000 to use as a control. That motorcycle hadn't had any changes since I started making all the changes with my bikes. And so to line up with him, who's a very accomplished rider as well, to be able to have that bike and to be able to have that level of consistency was great because he could tell me what it looked like when I started to walk away from him. Now, this bike that he's riding has stock exhaust and a 12-inch M4 slip-on. It doesn't have the same type of parts, and so you wouldn't expect it to be as fast. And so it is a good barometer. So I want to put that out there first so that you guys know the testing criteria in these contest of controlled velocity situations. And in those contests, there was absolutely really no practical difference between the tunes. They both performed equally as well. And again, in terms of outright power, that's what you're hoping for. There was no distinct winner between more Mafia and Two Wheel Dyno Works when it came to outright horsepower way into the gears, say the top of fifth gear, for example. So what makes them different? If power isn't any different, what could possibly make one tune better than the other? And it all came down to how the bike felt on throttle transitions, whether coming really hard into corners on decel and then cracking the throttle open for that mid-corner drive on apex, or as you're hard on decel and then you crack the throttle open for maintenance throttle. The Two Wheel Dyno Works tune was just much more smooth. I could find myself entering into corners a lot hotter and not even think about what the bike is going to do once I start to apply throttle when I'm on the side of the bike and I'm looking through my corner and I'm starting to roll out of the apex. That is going to be the big difference between the two tunes. The way that the Two Wheel Dyno Works tune seemed to run was that it was softer on the initial hit, and then as you roll into the throttle, it would start to bring in power a little bit more quickly. Now, this is where things got a little bit interesting. You know, both tunes making a lot of power, but the Two Wheel Dyno Works tune through the mid-range, especially under mid-throttle application conditions, was a bit more aggressive. And this bike is no joke. Again, we're talking GSXR 1000, full M4 and tuned. This is a pretty potent machine. Rocking a 44-tooth rear sprocket too. So I didn't take a lot of bite out of the gearing of this bike already. So what does that translate to? Okay, well, depending on the entry speed and the exit speed in fourth gear, I had to be careful with the bike because it has got a fun little tendency to try to drag the front of this thing up into the air in fourth gear while you're on the side of the tire as you're rolling through the apex and you're bringing the bike back up right to go wide open. I had to make sure that when I was looking through the corner and bringing the bike back up that I didn't get too ham-fisted with the throttle, or else the bike would let me know, hey, my front tire is still not on the ground anymore and we're starting to get a little bit skittish. It's not that it's scary, it's actually a lot of fun. And it's not, you're not out of control, it's just the bike communicating. So don't take it as a weird way. I know some guys go, the GSXR 1000s, they head shake. Guys, all motorcycles head shake, especially if you're getting after it. And I mean getting after it. So in this case, though, it's extremely predictable, and the idea really is to just take an early upshift and pin the throttle and not try to stay in a gear that the bike is already wanting to do power wheelies in on the side of the tire on mid-corner exit, leaving a patch as you go. Yeah. So yes, the bike runs amazingly well. I love the way it plants power to the ground. I just have to remember to take that early upshift and don't get greedy with the gear. But overall, I gotta say, I absolutely love the bike the way it sits now. Bringing the bike up 10 millimeters improved the feel dramatically. So much so that it feels practically just like the 636 in most cornering scenarios. That's how good the bike feels now. That is a huge compliment, by the way. To even remotely compare any bike to my 636 means that it's absolutely perfect in terms of how it feels to me. That's how this bike feels. Now, I have made quite a few changes to my suspension setup. I don't want to bore you to tears with that just yet. But what I will tell you is I've made more changes to soften the bike up a little bit, especially up front. Not so much in the rear, but, well, a little bit in the rear, but especially up front. And that's made all the difference in the world as far as how that bike handles. So overall, I got to give it to Two Wheel Dyno Works, guys. The More Mafia tune was good, but it felt like it was somewhat incomplete, at least not as refined as the Two Wheel Dyno Works tune. And before I forget, in terms of quick shifter, is one better than the other? I will say that the downshifts with the Two Wheel Dyno Works programming, they felt a little bit better than the More Mafia, but that's really more subjective. The upshifts were basically the same, so I can't really say one is better than the other in that respect. But in terms of overall feel, if you guys are on the side of the tire a lot, you guys are, really driving these bikes through long sweepers, whatever the case is, and you're focusing more on corner entry and you want to know how this bike would maybe run on track, one tune versus another, you're going to go Two Wheel Dyno Works. Just leave it at that. And I will promise you that you will be elated with the results. I know I was pretty critical, pretty picky when it comes to how my bike runs. And again, they nailed it. So kudos to those guys. But with that, I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up. Listen, if you made it this far into the video, consider smashing that subscribe button. Helps out the channel more than you know. Post up your comments. Let me know what your experience is with your tuner and how that has affected your riding. And I hope to catch you on the next one. Take it easy.